Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. Felipe here. 2024. It's ending. It's December. It's midway, probably half past December. It's the time for making lists and time rewinding, thinking about the year, how it was, what discoveries, what great releases we had, what great records, music that touches us, music that says something is meaningful. This year highlights such a great variety, such an abundance of different types and genres and variations and approaches. So many different lists of best of to 2024, and it's hard to see two lists that match at least 50%. I think that goes to show how much great stuff we have in this past year. And I'll try to show some stuff here. Maybe I won't commit to making a top 10. It's probably going to be more than 10, 12, 13, 14, who knows. I don't want to stick to a number because I don't want to leave anything that was relevant to me outside of this list. And of course, this is not definitive. It's not the best of the best. It's what I like the most among the things that I had the chance to listen to in 2024. Browse around as much as I can and see what's going on. I think it's a very healthy, interesting thing to do. And so this list will have no reissues. It's just like new music put out in 2024, music that I found to be exciting, that music that was pushing formats, music that made me think, that made me feel challenged in a sense. And what's that? What's going on? Wow, this is amazing. Who is that? Music is always emotion. We've been having a great generation of musicians now, so gifted. And I think this whole connection that we have around the world, so many different countries and styles and genres and instruments, things that get mixed, things that got together, people learn more from each other from all over the globe. So I think that contributes a lot to great changes, great directions. And I think we're in a very exciting moment now that should be really enjoyed. First off, to start with, I'm not going to go there. I mean, I will in a sense, but these are three. I'm going to start with a few releases that were put out by friends of the channel, people that did amazing job, that checks all marks, audiophile, packaging, impeccable music, impeccable songwriting, execution. But I felt it would be hard to put all of them in the list and at the same time just put some and not all. So I'm going to show these records before anything, just to say these are amazing releases of 2024. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to some of those or buy them, I think it's high time. These are great, and you check all the marks. First off, that came early in the year was Hackensack West by Anthony Wilson. Anthony, this terrific guitar player that's been on the road for such a long time, he cut out this record for Kevin Grace, Coherent label, cut at his garage. The title Hackensack West, of course, alludes to Hackensack, the famous Rudy Van Gelder studio. He cut with his longtime collaborator John and Gerald Clayton and Jeff Hamilton on drums. This was recorded one mic per instrument, all together in the studio, no boots, no headphones, and have an amazing result here. It's really heartfelt music. I mean, I don't even have to say how the musicianship goes here. It has references to Daido Moriyama, to wines in France, to Brazilian choro, to Harold Land, and to Todd Rundgren. I mean, a little bit of everything of his influences. And Anthony wrote this album like one song a day. If you watch our interview with him before the release, you're going to understand why he took this approach, and I think was very interesting. So Anthony Wilson, Hackensack West. Great release in 2024. So the next two records are records that actually they start in labels by musicians, which I found to be fantastic. The first one is our friend, again, Jérôme Sabat, French saxophone player based in New York for decades. This is his first record on his first label. Analog Tone Factory. It's called Heart. It's a three recording also with longtime collaborators Joe Martin on bass and Al Foster on drums. Revisiting Duke Ellington, is playing on compositions, again, even like something more groovy. Some improvisations, ESP by Wayne Shorter, Gone with the Wind, Benny Carter. There are great, beautiful ballads here, some more up-tempo music, fantastic photographic work. And here is the three of them. That's the first record on Analog Tone Factory. They did the whole analog process for recording this in a single studio. No boots, no headphones, just the musicians feeling each other. And Jerome was so cool with this record. He even made Al Foster play some improvisation with him, which is something that doesn't happen very often. And Body and Soul that Jerome had recorded earlier, and he's here revisiting the song and taking a different approach to that. And according to the liner notes, it's been about, if I'm not mistaken, 14 years. He wasn't playing in this trio format and starting his own label where hopefully he will be not only recording but producing records by other artists. Top-notch release of 2024. And third, but not least, in this list, also in the audiophile, cut by Kevin Gray, recorded single studio, Jacob Wen, Silver Street. So Silver Street is a tribute, of course, to Horace Silver, one of his main influences, one of the first, if not one of his biggest influence, was kind enough to sign our copies. So here's this playing in a quintet with Harry Ostrander, Jimmy Emerson, Doug Carter, and David Reynoso on bass. It's a very Blue Note-inspired cover with some it's on Hayden Records. That's the first release. Again, it's an exquisite, very deluxe release. Very beautifully recorded, has that Blue Note vibe, has ballads, has things more tempo, and Jacob proves to be such a great band leader. It's a beautiful, tight recording. Just came out 2 months ago, I believe, and we have been playing quite a lot. This will be a favorite here. One of the highlights of 2024 as well, not only music, but in quality. And now I'm going to go to the more new, adventurous, more exciting music that I found in 2024. Again, I will not put them into any order whatsoever. I'm just going to pull them randomly, quote unquote. The intent is not to classify or anything, but I will have one as my absolute highlight of them all. Perhaps as number one, just because I played the most, I was like impressed the most, the music touched me the most innovative. Kickstarting here. This is a record that I really dig. It came out, I believe, in April of 2024. It came on this fantastic, amazing label, RR Gems. That's Devin Braja, AEEG Coherence. Devin Braja is a New York City saxophone player. He plays with most of his band is based in Canada, I believe. So this record was recorded in Quebec. And he's been doing great work since like the mid 2000 teens, like 15, 16. Has a terrific record from 2019 that was just being reissued by our Gems, which there will be a video dedicated to that one because that one's like a landmark. It's a record that people really love. And one thing I think is really cool about his releases, most of all, everything has like a purpose, has an explanation, some philosophical thing behind it. So most of his records, they're going to come with actual booklets, going track by track, explaining the purpose. And if you watch our interview with him, he breaks down this record, explaining every single detail of the making, the concept behind every song. So he really does well here. It is about a journey of discovery, how we overcome and deal with fear, depression, anxiety in these days, being able to put that in a context, not of like an internal journey, but how that works in our everyday life, individually and in society. Care is the word. Care is like the final word that he puts so throughout here, and that's what the music stands for. That's the name of the last track. So care is not a goal. Care should be something that we should have every day towards us, towards ourselves, towards our society. So it's a music that goes intense moments, some are introspective, has a terrific band with his longtime collaborators, Sam Shalabi, Morgan Moore on acoustic bass, on new drums, Janice Lloyd on voice and flute, and Alan Dagan on voice. Really great spiritual jazz. Devin Braja, I feel that he's a leader, that a band leader, that he comes to the record with a very interesting, very defined ideas, propositions, and his bands, his ensembles are so great at putting that together, transmitting that message. He's in control, but the whole band plays as a whole. Nice, spiritual, on the side of free jazz a little bit as well. Um, and EG Coherence put out by R Jams, a label that makes everything at the highest level. So congrats, guys. Highly recommended. It's one of the top records, one of the best records of 2024. Next, this one comes from the UK, International Anthem, this in collaboration with Beatprint Records. She's relatively unknown here in the US, but she's a huge, huge figure in the UK, and I'm talking about Cassie Kinoshi. It's a record that I got first. I was not surprised, I was kind of expecting. This is how it looks like. Comes in a beautiful, beautiful, nice color presentation. You can also find in a black standard variation. Cassie Kinoshi is a UK composer, arranger, alto saxophone player, and she has her ensemble called Seed. It's a large ensemble of musicians. So this record is called Gratitude. I think it also goes in an interesting thread since the record just spoke of. Braja talks about care. This talks about gratitude. Her mother's focus on subtle, simple beauty, natural beauty, the small things in life, and being grateful for that. Here she uses a large ensemble, again, Seed, to deliver music that relates to the smallest and simplest things. Speak to our deepest emotions, dreams, hopes. This is a really great orchestrated, saxophone-led, spiritual, free in a sense. It sounds very big, but also very dreamy. It's very touching. It does well. It's very calming, very relaxing, and very meditative. Cassie Kinoshi Seed, another great, great release on International Anthem on Pi Recordings. Pi Recordings, I mean, a lot of people that follow jazz, it's used to Pi for buying records by, especially by Tashon Sorry. This is actually this artist's first release on Pi, and I'm talking about no one else than Luke Stewart, Unknown Rivers. Amazing cover, one of the best cover photographies I've ever seen. Beautiful. It says this eruption on a volcano. Also follows the label. The Lucas Stewart still trio, leading multiple bands and a highly requested. He plays with so many different people, collaborated with Dave Murray, Moore Mother, Jamie Branch, etc. So many like great names. And he has a very special way, a very characteristic bass playing, but he has a very sound signature. You can tell it's Luke Stewart. This record actually is a trio, but it actually has two different drummers, one per side. And on one side you had Chad Taylor, on the other side you had Trey Crudup. Different rhythm approaches of the band here, based on which drummer they're using. Past musicians playing, according to the description, past musicians playing current music. And I think they mean by that is that they have a very traditional approach, very trio, what you expect from like a classic trio from like the 50s and 60s, but with a different like drumming, especially bass lines that are not so obvious, not only like bass in the rhythm, but actually taking the lead and doing that. There's a lot of grooves, spontaneity. It's a very free playing, but focused on the result. And it's a very intense playing. If you're not familiar with Luke Stewart, check his work. Go searching online. See what he's been doing, what he's done. What he's capable of, and I think you'll be surprised and very attracted to his music. So Luke Stewart Steel Trio on Pi Recordings, Unknown Rivers, definitely one of the best recordings of 2024. So next. I wanted to show you something that has really intrigued me since the announcement. It doesn't necessarily come from a jazz label, and I'm talking about Oxy. This came on Backwoods Studios. Backwoods Studios, for the ones that are more acquainted, especially with hip hop. Backwoods is the label, which one of the main names you have there are Bitterwoods, Illicit, Cavalier. You know, they have mainly focused on hip hop, some soul there, but a lot of experimentation, great approaches. When I first saw this jazz release on such a label, I was like, dude, I gotta jump into this. And I wasn't disappointed. Oxy is a very exploratory. It combines jazz, featuring contributions by hip hop artists with rapping, singing, putting lyrics into it. It's kind of a unique blend, but it's not the type of acid jazz kind of thing that you expect, like Madlib or Guru. It's new. It's very different, very unique. It gathers it's an all-star lineup from all over the world. I have Matt Rasmussen on saxophone, Val Gentin as a sound chemist doing all sorts of things from synth keyboards, beats, Peter Elm with bass sampler synths, and Savannah Harris on drums. Multinational lineup. What is it about, right? Ox means also X, also means this vital force that's within us. And I think the music really beautifully reflects it. It's so full of energy, experimentation. There's a perfect match of lyrics and instruments. A first time I would say could be a little intriguing, a little different, but the more you listen to it, this massive sound, this music ideas, this thing that runs so fast and so intense, amazing saxophone solos, great drum ideas, very fast paced, very, I would say more like in a free jazz, avant-garde-ish type, with excellent rapping in between, popping here and there, great lyrics, great context. It's a record that really has been in high rotation in 2024. The more you listen to it, the more you want to listen because there's always something new. There are so many layers, things to discover. They put out a great work here. Hope there comes more. Ox on Backwood Recording. And of course, one of the most important traditional old labels out there, Blue Note, has also released great records throughout the year. Blue Note, I think, has been gathering such a great roster of musicians, putting out so many great records in the past few years. I think this year was no different. This record was announced late last year, I think. I'm talking about, of course, Echoes of the Inner Prophet by Melissa Aldana. This record came early in the year. It's she's continuing her spiritual journey in her second release on Blue Note Records. Melissa partners again with Lagelund on guitar, Pablo Menares on bass, Kashabadi on drums, Fabio Almazan on piano and effects. I think this record starts on the first song. It goes on a very Wayne Shorter tradition. There's a lot of references to Wayne, his playing. This record is about reflection, the search for wisdom, the introspection, the search for, the truth within us, our inner prophet, the truth, right? Composition-wise, is a great jump from her first record. It feels like more finished, more elaborated, better. The production sounds better to me. So it's a great band. And the production, the touch of our friend Lagelund, I think he also adds a lot to this record. It's a very solid record, very solid effort. I think Melissa just dropped one of the best records of her career and one of the best records of 2024. We're still going to be on Blue Note. This record is topping. This record shows that how as time passes you can just get better or change or be able to develop new ideas, develop new things, and play so well with current musicians. And of course, I'm talking about Charles Lloyd. This record came out in 2024. Charles had just turned 86, and he's playing with this terrific lineup here of Jason Moran on piano, Larry Grenadier on bass, and Brian Blade on drums. And the record is produced also by Joe Harley, along with Charles Lloyd and Dorothy Darr. Blue Note release is a double record. There are a couple variations that there. I got this one that I found to be really nice, one of this transparent blue color. So here we have Charles Lloyd, one of the great saxophone players ever. Still very active, very creative, most important, and at the top of his game, still blowing his horn like no other, with a band that doesn't need any introductions here. It's surprising. It's a beautiful, beautiful introspective record. Also has a very defiant sound to me, especially on the very first song, Defiant, Then the Warrior. It's a great opening. Jason Moran and Larry, they play some very powerful lines here. Ghost of Lady Day, Cape to Carol, Sky Valley, Spirit of the Forest, Beyond Darkness. These are songs that represent not only great playing, but also and great intent. This band is able to give their own voices. Charles always a Charles Lloyd record. You feel him. Like in many other of his recent ones, I think this is probably like a combination of a sound, of an approach that has been working. This band has contributed to achieve such a great result. Charles Lloyd, surprising and always for the great, the best. Playing not only new songs, but revisiting some of his old classics, putting new touches to it. It's amazing. And the great cut by Kevin Gray as well. Enjoy, because it's one of the best releases by Charles Lloyd and one of the best releases of 2024. And continuing, 2024 was a great year for different things, in my opinion. I mean, there's always very innovative bands or artists that really push things ahead. So this next one that I'm showing now, I think combines everything. Quality presentation, music that looks into the future, and that's what I find fascinating about jazz. Jazz is a genre that's so able to absorb so many influences from different parts of the world. It's able to transform itself to make something new out of something, tools that we already have, approaches we already have, and also create new approaches. So this was one of the most like ambitious releases, I'd say, in terms of execution, length, finishing, packaging, artists involved, everything. And of course, I'm talking about Plumb. Plumb was released by GMI earlier this year. It's a trio recording, David Murray, Questlove, and Ray Angry. It's a quadruple record in a really beautiful, classy, amazing package. It was an improvisation session from 2022 that finally, it was available online. You could stream it, and it was finally available on record this year as of now. What to say about it? It's one of the most beautiful and interesting and challenging pieces of music released in the year. First, I think a record to deserve to be like a double is already a lot. There's always like filler, always, unnecessary. But this 4-disc set, it feels like a journey. You just can't turn it off, put it down. You have to go through everything because it has so many nuances. The interplay here, the musicians shows they can do some of everything. There's like ballads, things that are more introspective, more out there. There's like sambas, there's a little bit of everything. There's solos from each one, and nothing feels as a filler. Everything feels connected. It feels very coherent, cohesive. It's a story, it's a journey, as I said, that you go through. It's each musician revealing like new nuances, new faces, what they can do. And for a session that was like an improvisation on an afternoon, this feels very solid. It's surely one of the great releases this year. Plumb on JMI. check it out. So another record I felt intriguing in 2024 in terms of like being like such an exploratory piece. It was released by No Quarter Records, called by the band Beans. There is a Garden. So Beans is a kind of a super band. They have been playing together occasionally over the past couple of years, but they finally came together here. It's Steve Gunn on guitar, Zoe Amba on saxophone, vocals, acoustic guitar, Shahad Ismail on bass, and Jim White on drums. They're all very known, recognized in their own genres, with their own bands and projects. And they got together here. It's a record that at first sounds kind of dark, moody, very heavy sounding. It's very dark. It kind of drags you in. It makes you search for more. And I think the title "There's a Garden" is so appropriate because there's so much beauty in this sonic wall, in this walls of distortion and fast saxophones, some vocals. It is a very solid record. If you're into rock and you want to explore a little more into jazz, this record fuses everything really well and proves that musicians from different genres can get together and get really good jazz or really good rock records recorded. This came on No Quarter Records. This is one of the most interesting records of the year for me. If you want to explore more, some of these musicians also by themselves, especially Zoe on the saxophone, you won't be disappointed. Those guys really deliver. It's a very solid release for 2024. One more record that really struck my attention this year. It came not too long ago, came a couple months ago, and there's another Blue Note, and I'm talking about Emmanuel Wilkins, Blues Blood. It's a double album. Interestingly, it is his first record to contain vocals. Here we have Essie Sombri, Ceci McLaurin Salvan, and in my opinion, the best addition here is Ganavia, this Eastern singer. She has this angelical voice. It acts like almost like an instrument, an extra instrument to the songs. So Blues Blood, right? It comes from a citation from Daniel Ham, who was one of the six of the Harlem Six that were falsely accused, beaten, brutalized by the police in 1964. And this is a remembering. It's been 60 years that that event happened. The tragic, bad, horrible event happened. It brings us to mind, to reflection, and this is what the record is. Very reflective, very remembering. It's a protest in itself, but however, it's I think it's more of a call to our minds, to our senses, and he really delivers with an amazing band, including Rick Rosado, Micah Thomas, Rico Sombri on drums, and many other guests. So if you're looking for another great release by Blue Note this year, this was a very solid one as well. One more release that probably goes under the radar. This is a record by Ben Wolf called The Understated. Here's Ben. Ben is a New York-based bass player, and here's he plays with Nicole Glover on tenor sax, Orin Evans on piano, Aaron Kim on drums, Russell Malone on guitar, and Sullivan Fortner on piano. He self-produced and wrote most of the songs here. So this is The Understated. It has to do with subtlety. It's a record that's focused on ballads. He explains that on his previous record, they had a really nice experience recording Lullaby in D as a ballad, and that kind of felt something special for the band, for himself. So the idea here was to record center in ballads, and I found quite beautiful because he's such a great band leader as a bassist. The band feels really structured, focused, but giving a lot of space to each other in every track, every song. Musicians are soloing, giving their messages, supporting each other. It's a really beautiful group effort. Again, The Understated is based on subtleties. These ballads, they just feel so warm and lush, but at the same time, minimalist. They do what's necessary, what's minimal, and that's what makes them so beautiful and attracting. It's a record I've been playing over and over. Ben Wolf, The Understated, on Resident Arts Records. This was released in 2024 by Ben Wolf. I have 3 more titles left, which were my 3 favorite ones for the year. And apparently was the year of the trios, because those are all trio records. They are forward thinking. I believe they achieve like here new levels of expression, of playing, of musicianship, great fresh ideas. They go from execution to artwork, everything, and I'm gonna go over them. So in not necessary order, I'm just gonna put one at the top, just one, because that was my absolute favorite of the year. But these 2 now, they're up there as well. So first one is a trio, kind of unusual, Breaking the Shell. Andrew Cyril on drums, Kate Downers on pipe organ. Now, these are quite well-known musicians. Andrew Cyril, since the early 60s, coming to the scene, playing with Cecil Taylor. Bill Frisell, this amazing guitar player that has such a solid solo career and also plays as a sideman. So many records that we know. And Kit Downs, this amazing organ player, piano player, and here is playing pipe organ. So it came from Red Hook Records out of the UK. It has a transparent, so sometimes it's kind of challenging to find the tracks here, but that's not the important thing. It is intriguing, experimental, but it's very meditative, contemplative. From the start, I just couldn't stop fixating and listening very carefully. It's uncharted territory. It pushes the boundary on arrangements, interpretation, and how such an experiment and talented musicians, they were able to create such atmosphere. They create spaces for each other, so beautiful. It's a conceptual album, so it's about playing with textures, playing with sounds. The drums, they feel so subtle, so simple, but it's gigantic, fills your room. That pipe organ creates that beautiful, beautiful mood. And Bill Frisell here has so many different facets, and here he just shows another one. The guitar timbres, they again, space, they're just here and there, punctuations. Sometimes they go full distorted. I mean, it's a record it's very surprising, very rewarding listening. So Breaking the Shell on Red Hook Records, which also has a beautiful, beautiful cover artwork, and it was one of my biggest surprises, one of my biggest, I'm so happy about this one. It was so happy, and hope they come off with more, because Breaking the Shell is it's a groundbreaking type of music for me. Because I could not end 2024 without talking about this record here. It comes from my country, is a musician from my country, and of course I'm talking about Amado Freitas. He's been on the scene for the past almost 10 years, recording mostly trios. He's an amazing musician. He came from a very poor region in Brazil, with very limited access to everything. So it is a record, basically the concept behind YY, that's the name of it. The concept here is, what does our music actually sound like a jazz decolonized version? How do we do it with our instruments? How does that sound? And he's able to extract such great textures, sounds, approaches, the way he adds so many percussive instruments to the piano, not alongside, but into the piano. So it's crazy, exploratory, so sounds, approach. I mean, this record is groundbreaking in many senses, and I think is a record that's going to become a reference. So side A is more devoted to the forest music, the Amazon, and he's not from the Amazon, so he learned and developed everything. And on side B you have more these things with more contemporary musicians playing more accessible music in a sense. So you have Hamid Drake, Shabaka, Jeff Parker, Anil Somayan, Brandy Younger, amazing work on a harp as well. Here's pictures of the session, and this is came on Psychic Hotline. It's a audiophile level, cut by Matthew Lutens at the Mastering Lab. It kind of pushes you to hear a little more, and then the fact that it's so well recorded and mastered and presented,
also helps in like making those sounds even more meaningful. This had to be my number one. It came in a label that's widely known for having doing great reissues, especially from Japanese jazz. However, they also cut new releases, and this one, with no question, to me was the best record I heard in 2024. It's a record called Altera Vita by a British saxophone player Tony Coffey and Alina Brzezinska on harp, or Alina Hip Harp, as she uses on her Bandcamp and web pages. So it's an interesting combination, right? So it's harp and saxophone. And of course, they overdub some percussive instruments along the tracks after the recording. And you have participation here of Muriel Grossman in one of the tracks. Most important, and it comes really clear, transparent from our first listen. So they had met Pharoah Sanders after a concert in 2022, and they were really touched and inspired by him. So they cut one track, kind of as a tribute, as a homage to Pharoah Sanders, and that track did so well, got so much great reception, great playing, requests. They decided to finally get together and cut an album. What can I say about this? Well, here's a picture of them in the back. And this record is easily found. You can find it easily. CD, vinyl, download, everything. It's a powerful example of music that's full of feeling, intent. This record has so many like little details that drag you into that atmosphere. It is really atmospheric with a beautiful full body sound of Tony on the saxophone, making it very melodic with amazing harp phrasing. You know, at the end of a listen, you just feel like new. You feel like a better person because it's so meditative. It's so powerful music. Well presented, well recorded. The record sounds unbelievable, sounds big. Imagine those harp notes flying here and there. With such a melodic, sentimental, and beautiful saxophone line and everything. So it's a record full of intent, I find, and they achieve something new and unique here, and I hope they, eventually make some more out of this. So I don't even know how many I showed, probably, I think more than 10, less than 20, with no order whatsoever. I would just put one as my absolute favorite. The other ones I don't know order whatsoever. They just show this variety, diversity of so many great things in 2024, and I think it points to a great direction in music. An amazing time to explore. I just show like the tip of the iceberg. There's just so much to be discovered. There's so many records I bought in 2024, I listened to, I downloaded in 2024 that they were so great. They just change perspectives in a sense. And just to finish, there are some records that came out very late in the year, like a couple of days ago, that I have the chance to listen to. Polaris by Andy Hay. I know it's not a new one, but I haven't received my copy yet, so I didn't want to make an impression of it yet. The Jeff Parker record on International Anthem, which released amazing records, including even Carlos Nino released a record by International Anthem. Wadada Lewis-Smith has an amazing, beautiful record, the Central Park one. Muriel Grossman, one of my favorite top artists. Her record just came out last week, pretty much on the 20th. It was a delay, so I didn't even have my copy yet. So some records I just didn't include because lack of time and to make a proper evaluation and give a better presentation. Please leave your comments, questions, additions, whatever you feel like sharing. And so hopefully there's going to be more 2024 recap soon. We're going to talk about some other things in future videos. And I think there's a great year coming ahead, music-wise, channel-wise. Very excited for 2025. Please like and subscribe. Follow us on our Instagram. Follow us on our Discord. Participate in discussions is always valid and nice, and very, very, very cool to have people discussing with us. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next.